I would like to thank you for attending this event of the EU Green Week. We will be together for the next 1.5 hours. We had about 300 registrations so far. We are about 100 people attending, and I'm expecting it's going to grow within the next few minutes. So welcome to all of you. So Mercator Ocean International is very happy to host this event, and we would like really to thank DG Environment for giving us the opportunity to participate to this EU Green Week event. EU Green Week is very important for Mercator Ocean International. We've been participating actually to 3 different events this week. One in the framework of the Copernicus program, one internal meeting to our company, and today's event, which is the 3rd one. So the objectives of this webinar will be to showcase the importance of ocean data and the digital ocean to achieve a blue-green deal and a zero pollution objective. Today's speaker will provide us with the best example on how to achieve such a blue-green deal and zero pollution. And we are very proud to have those speakers with us today and to work with them on a daily basis. And I will introduce them one by one over the course of this webinar. So my name is Laurence Cronier. I'm the head of the Markets and Services Department at Mercator Ocean International, and I'm going to be your moderator today. And Mercator Ocean International is a non-profit organization which is committing to building a science-based digital ocean for supporting the conservation of and the sustainable use of the ocean and the seas. So for now, let's start with a few housekeeping rules. So we are going to have 3 sessions today. The first one is going to involve keynote speaker from EU institution. And I will introduce them one by one over the course of the webinar. The second session is going to be a demonstration on how easy it is to use ocean data. And the last panel is going to provide us with views from NGOs, private companies, and Copernicus users. And then, hopefully, depending on the timing, we are going to end with a question and answer session. So please, you can ask your question within the chat. Make sure you end your questions by a question mark so that we make the difference in between a comment and a question. So question to be ended by a question mark. So let's start with our first session with our keynote speaker from the European institution. Our first speaker is Mr. Jacques Delsal. So Mr. Jacques Delsal is a policy officer at the DG Environment. He joined the European Commission in 2000 and he is now in charge of socio-economic analysis and programs of measures within the Marine and Water Environment Unit at DG Environment. He started in the DG for Economic and Financial Affairs before moving to Directorate for Environment, where he was successfully policy analyst, team leader, and now a policy officer. So Jacques is going to tell us about a very important European directive, which is the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. So Jacques, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Laurence, and good morning, everybody. So, yes, since the last 13 years, we are implementing the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, which is a very holistic legislation, a holistic framework based on the 6 years cycle, where we are based on the ecosystem approach, and the goal is to protect the oceans and the sea in Europe, while at the same time enabling a sustainable use of marine goods and services. So the objective here is to reach and maintain the good environmental status. And we do this, as I was saying before, in a 6-year cycle where the state of the environment is assessed based on threshold values that define the ideal environmental status. We see whether this status is reached or not. Then targets are set for more short-term actions. The monitoring programs are put in place, and program of measures that are also member states commit to implement to reach the environmental status. So we are now in the second cycle, and we have received an update of the state of the environment and an update of the monitoring program, and we are looking forward to receive the updated program of measure. So this good status is indeed, I mean, it's a simple word, but an extremely complex framework with 11 descriptors. Some descriptors on look at the pressures and the impact, other look at the state of the environment, and for each descriptor we have criteria, indicators, etc., and an extremely, as I said, complex and common implementation strategy together with the member state to identify the indicators, the threshold values, and put in place all these programs of measures. So now, in the context of what interests us today, the kind of digital solution, how we can improve the system, because last year we produced the first implementation report of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, which was obviously linked to the fact that in the directive it is said that the good status has to be achieved by 2020. And so in some cases, and for some descriptors in some member states, the good status was achieved. In other, it was clear that it was not yet achieved, despite all the measures that have been put in place, because in some cases the process are very long. For instance, if we want to revert eutrophication, I mean, even if you decrease all the nutrient inflows, etc., this can take years, decades to reach the good status. But I would say that the most important message when we have sometimes maps or scoreboards, I mean, with the classical traffic light when between gray, yellow, and red, but the most frequent color was the gray, which was the area where we don't know. We don't have enough information to assess the good status, to assess where we are, to assess the impact of the measures we member states, etc., are putting in place. So this is so far the most important problem for the Marine Strategy Framework Directive is the knowledge gap. So if we want to have the good and the relevant data and information to achieve our objective of a clean, healthy, and productive seas. And I've been looking at this from we call the DPSIR framework, but here looking at the pressures, for instance, and in particular pollution, but also all the extraction of living resources. It's important that we get much more detailed and accurate information on the socioeconomic activities and how they impact the environment. So getting this geospatialized information, it's very important. There are a lot of things going on, for instance, where we can track the ships and with their path and link it to the pressure, having information on all the activities around and affecting the marine environment, etc. We also need an increased frequency of the monitoring. So far, as I said, the MSFD is based on this 6-year cycle, which is clearly insufficient. It's a good cycle. It's to define, to make environmental assessment. We cannot do it every year, but when it's about looking at the pressures, it's important to have. I mean, the minimum is a yearly frequency, but if we can have some information on real time, etc., it's sometimes extremely useful to understand and be able to understand how pressure evolve with the evolution of socioeconomic activity, the blue economy, but also activity on land, demography, etc. Then regarding the state of the environment, we definitely need much more information to be able to set environmental targets and threshold values. For instance, understanding the vulnerability of the ecosystem, understanding all the transboundary impacts and how pressure here affect the environment there, understand also the impact of climate change, And for this, I mean, we need to link all the observation we have with ecosystem modeling. So we have already at the Joint Research Center a lot of infrastructure for marine ecosystem, marine and freshwater ecosystem modeling that can be further developed and linked also with the activity of other institutes in Europe. It's a very important part of what we need. And then for the measures, we need, as I said before, we are not very often not able to assess the impact of the measures which are put in place. So it's important to have the knowledge to assess the measures and also to control and monitor their enforcement. For instance, in the marine protected areas, if we want to avoid that they are just paper parks, as it is said, it's important to have the ways to monitor that the protection is actually effective. So in terms of, so this was most the demand. So in terms of supply, which kind of solution we will need. So as I said, we need, and we see that there are increasing opportunities for real-time data collection to help us monitoring the marine environment. We see also that all what is coming from satellite imagery, sensors, drone, etc., it increased the amount of data collected from the ocean. It's important that we are able to use this amount of data. It's an additional challenge, and we need to go beyond that and be able to have a knowledge and understanding of the ocean, and also shape it in a form which is useful for the decision makers. So these are a lot of technical and also organizational challenge. Together with the colleagues of other director generals, there are projects like the digital twin of ocean that would integrate the existing system and provide advanced simulation tools. So this has all the things which are being put in place. If you look at the recently adopted Zero Pollution Action Plan, we have also a joint document, a staff working document on digital solution for zero pollution, and with a specific chapter for the marine environment, which I think it's important and define our needs for the period to come. So this is all at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacques Delsal, for your work on the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. We really understand that ocean data and the digital ocean is key and will be key in the future in order to implement this directive at member state level. So thank you for all of that. We will come back to questions at the end of this meeting. So
thank
now, you're welcome. Now I would like to invite Geneviève Pons, who is the Director General of Think Europe Jacques Delors and a member of the mission Starfish 2030. So Geneviève is considered one of the most influential women in Brussels when it comes to environmental policies. She has more than 30 years of policy experience at the European level, and was the director of the European office at WWF from 2015 to 2017, and she was in charge of environment and climate matters for Jacques Delors, who was the president of the European Commission from 1991 up to 1995, along with several other management positions at the European Commission. So Geneviève is going to tell us about Mission Starfish 2030. Geneviève, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Laurence, and very glad to be with you and to speak about Mission Starfish 2030. I am a member of the mission, and more exactly, I am representing the assembly of the mission to the board. And so I've been taking part to the work of this mission from the start in September 2019, and I will speak a bit about that, making the link with our subjects today, zero pollution and digitalization. What are the missions first? Maybe you don't know yet, but this is an idea that has been promoted under the preceding commission, and it has been set in place within DG Research and Innovation. And there are 5 missions. One is dealing with fight against cancer, and the 4 other ones are about fighting climate change. So there is adaptation to climate change. There is carbon neutral cities, also with quality of soils, and finally the healthy ocean and waters. So I am a member of this mission about healthy ocean and waters. So you see who are the members of the mission board, and the chair is Pascal Lamy. So we worked very well. We are still working with the European Commission, which is ensuring the secretariat of this mission. We can now go to the next slide. The first title of the mission was extremely complicated, I must say, and that's why we have made it more, maybe not only simple, but attractive. It was about healthy ocean, seas, lakes, rivers, inland waters, and so on. And the title was very long, but the reason why it was so long is a good one. This reason is that we are confronted to a cycle. You cannot look at the health of our ocean and seas without paying attention to inland waters. You probably know, most of you, that 80% of marine pollution is coming from inland waters. So we have to deal with a cycle. And it is coming from inland waters, but we could say it is coming from our bathroom, it is coming from our kitchen, it is coming from the way we manage our waste. Everything we do has a consequence on our waters and our ocean. So a systemic nature of the cycle and a systemic nature of the threats to which we are faced. We are faced to these threats because the way we treat our waters is unsustainable. Of course, pollutions, but also the consequence of climate change. And at the roots of that, there is probably a lack of understanding and a lack of emotional connection to our ocean and waters, and finally, inadequate governance. So all of these aspects have to be addressed together. It is complex, and we have to be very ambitious, but at the same time, we have to be understood. We have to be accessible. And that's why the mission board, to which I took part, ended up with this idea of a starfish, because we know, we can put it at the center of the starfish. We know that our main objective, a very ambitious one, is restoration of our ocean and waters as much as possible by 2030. We will have, of course, to continue beyond 2030, but as much as possible in 2030. So to get to this main objective, we will have to act on many aspects. We will have to tackle pollutions, we will have to fight against climate change and for a decarbonized blue economy. And we will have to also tackle the question of lack of understanding and emotional gap, and also the question of governance. So we have to act on all these aspects to get to where we want, a healthy ocean and waters. I can come into more details about one of our main objectives, a very ambitious one, once again, zero pollution. It's a key objective of our mission by 2030. It is decomposed in several targets. Of course, we want to get to zero plastic litter generation. We want to halt eutrophication of our seas and waters. We want to stop spilling, for instance, container loss or red mud contamination. And last but not least, because this is very worrying, we have to reduce as much as possible underwater. And in order to get there, and that will be my final point and the main link to our event today, we have to set in place a digital twin of the ocean. This digital twin will fully map, sequence, observe, and predict our ocean, seas, and rivers on open source and easily accessible and interactive platform. It will help us track pollution, climate change, and impact of human activities in real time. And it will give not only economic actors and public authorities, but all citizens an opportunity to monitor, observe, and enable actions on pollutions. We will develop applications linked to the digital twin that will enable citizens to take part to the building and use of this common good, this common science. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Geneviève. This is a great roadmap, and this is a great objective for Europe and for all the citizens in Europe. And as far as Mercator Océan International is concerned, we are very emotional actually about the ocean. So we are going to work on sharing these emotions with all the citizens. So thank you very much, Geneviève. I would like now to introduce you to Cyrus Angerer. Cyrus is a member of the European Parliament. He's not with us today, and he's been sending us a video recording of his presentation. He's apologizing for not being able to be with us today. Cyrus is a member of the European Parliament since 2020. He's a Maltese politician from Partit Laborista, and at the European Parliament, he's been a member of the Committee on the Environment, Public Health and Food Safety, and of the Intergroup Seas, Rivers, Islands and Coastal Area. So let's now listen to what Cyrus Angerer, as a member of the European Parliament, is doing on a daily basis in order to work actually towards zero ocean pollution. So
I would like to start by thanking Mercator Ocean International for organizing this very important event today. Apologies for not being able to be present live during the conference, but I'd like to share my thoughts with you on this important subject. As you might know, I come from the small island of Malta, and to me, our oceans represent home and a great part of where I grew up. I come from a place whereby the ocean is a major source of economic wealth and where many people's livelihoods and the livelihoods of their families depend on it. We also depend on our oceans for many other important aspects of our lives, such as in relation to medicine, food and leisure, and to act as a carbon sink, and also for the production of oxygen. Yet humanity does not seem to recognize all the benefits that can come from healthy oceans, and this is clearly seen from the progressive deterioration of our oceans through human activities and accelerating climate change. The sustainable use of this resource is being endangered through marine littering, pollution, climate change, and overexploitation. Unfortunately, the role of the ocean in combating climate change and in supporting life on this planet continues to be underestimated, and this is something I am seeking to address in my work as a member of the European Parliament. In particular, in this discussion on biodiversity strategy within the ENVI Committee, I have tabled amendments aimed at reinforcing the protection of our oceans. Also, one of my priorities in my work in the same committee is to raise more awareness in relation to challenges we are seeing in the area of shipments of waste outside the EU territories, such as the plastic waste leakages into the ocean that we are seeing in this context. Against all of these challenges, it is clear that we need to make use of all the best tools available to help us in our fight against further degradation of the unique resource that is the ocean. We need to use tools that can help us to better monitor shifts in biodiversity and models which can serve to lead us to the source of marine pollution. The ultimate aim is to identify the most efficient solutions to tackle the challenges, and the digital technology has to be our partner in this quest to fight the climate and environmental emergencies that we are experiencing. The green and digital transitions that we are striving for in our daily work have to go hand in hand. We are happy in this regard that the European Commission is acting on the same wavelength and has recognized the need for digital technology to be an important tool vis-à-vis the monitoring of the health of our planet. Digital tools provide the benefit of precise data and a better vehicle to transmit information to the public more effectively. The dissemination and the digestion of information is always an important obstacle to achieve progress in any sector. So investing in technologies which can help us to do better on this front can lead to important breakthroughs. In this regard, I would like to thank Mercator Ocean International for having recognized the potential of digital technology in predicting the physical and chemical state of our oceans over time, and for the way this project developed, also thanks to the work at EU level and its Copernicus Earth Observation Programme. We cannot achieve a sustainable ocean without being able to understand its patterns, and thus the importance of ocean data to come up with innovative solutions and achieve progress. I'd like to conclude by reiterating that I will spare no effort in seeking to raise awareness on the important issue of ocean data in our quest to achieve sustainable oceans, not only here in the European Parliament, but also beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Cyrus Unger, a member of the European Parliament. So now we are going to switch to a demonstration. Fabrice Messal, who is our training and education manager at Mercator Océan, is going to show us how easy actually it is to use ocean data. So Fabrice has a background in application in numerical imagery, and he has several experiences in visualization software development and scientific mediation. So Fabrice, the floor is yours. Tell us how easy it is to use ocean data.
Thank you, Laurence. Good morning, everyone. So I will share my screen to make this demonstration, and I will switch off my camera to save some bandwidth. So Mercator Ocean International, as implementer of the Copernicus Marine Service, has integrated this viewer, and like a window on the Copernicus Marine Service catalog, this viewer allows anyone to discover up-to-date and validated marine data and to share it. So we can start on the website of the Copernicus Marine Service, and here you can access to this viewer. So as the previous panelist said, converting data into valuable information is crucial for supporting clean ocean initiatives, and it's one of the Copernicus Marine Service commitments. So let's dive for just a few minutes in this virtual ocean. So when you start, you will have by default 2 layers of temperature and chlorophyll. I choose to start with the potential temperature. So here you have this layer box to play with the layers, and here at the bottom of the screen you have this timeline, and you can play with this timeline to explore data forward or backward. You can zoom on this timeline to have more accuracy and choose different dates. Okay, and you see the data is automatically updated on the map. Okay, here on the right, you have a depth control. This control allows you to dive into 3D data. For example, here, this is data from 3D models, and I can dive into the ocean. Okay. And then I can add new layers available on the Copernicus Marine catalog. And for example, if I want to see primary production from, for example, satellite observation, I can choose here. I have several data sets. I can choose one data set and one variable, and I can directly add this variable on the map on the screen. Here it is. So it's very simple, as you can see. I can play then with the layers. I can play with the opacity of the different layers. I can change the color map. Okay, I can choose to hide or display the different layers. On the same layer, I can choose to another variable, for example, seawater velocity or sea ice fraction, and I can see this variable with the a different projection, with this North Pole projection, and obviously the South Pole projection. Okay, and then if I come back on, for example, on the temperature, if I pin on the map, if I click on the map, I can create a pin, and this pin gives me information, direct information on the data. And you can see this is value of the chlorophyll at this point and the value of the temperature at this point. And you have some default graphs available, and you can play with directly with this graph, for example, with this blue line corresponding to the time, and I can play with this data, and you can see the map is directly updated and the graphs also. I can choose to have information along a line. And this is the same concept. Okay. So it's the simplest way to access this marine data from the Copernicus Marine Service and to play with it. And last tricks, you can decide to share this information. Once you have a great map, great information, you can share with your community, with your colleagues, with your friends. By clicking here, you can have these share links. You can choose to download this image, share the image. You can build some short videos and share these videos or download these videos, and also to embed this viewer on your website. So now it's your turn. I invite you to test and to try the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabrice. It looks like very easy to really engage all of you to go to the Copernicus Marine website and try to visualize your data, your ocean data on your region, on your area. It looks very easy when Fabrice does it, but I have tried myself and I can tell you it is easy, because if I'm able to do it, I mean, anyone is able to do that. So thank you very much, Fabrice.
You're welcome.
Now switch to our third session, which is a panel which is going to offer us with testimonies actually on ocean pollution challenges and how the digital ocean can support the stakeholders in their effort to fight marine litter or marine pollution at large. So we have various testimonies from NGOs, from private companies, and we are going to start with Audrey Hasson. So Audrey is the head of the GeoBlue Planet office. GeoBlue Planet initiatives is hosted by Mercator Océan International as part of the EU for OceanOps FPI action, which is funded by the European Union. Audrey leads the GeoBlue Planet Marine Litter Working Group. She's, as a background, a physical oceanographer, and she specializes in remote sensing of sea surface salinity. She has a PhD from the University of Toulouse, and she has worked as a postdoctoral researcher for the American, the French, and the European Space Agency. So welcome to you, Audrey. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Laurence, for a very nice introduction. So as Laurence was saying, I went from a physical oceanographer background to driving the European office of GeoBlue Planet that I will present today. So the Blue Planet initiative aims at promoting a sustained development and use of ocean and coastal observations for the benefit of society. So it's really linking the observation to the information for society. The Blue Planet initiative has several objectives, some of which are processing data into information. So Fabrice showed you some data, but then this data needs to transform into knowledge by usually scientists, and then into information, so information that can be used by stakeholders and end users. We need to link this information with societal needs in line with the geo-engagement priorities. I will go back to that right after. The GeoBlue Planet initiative is a network, and it's a network of ocean and coastal scientists, so physical oceanographer or biologist, but also social scientists, because we need people from the economy or the policy point of view to help us transforming this data into information. And then we have end user representative from stakeholder groups, because we need to know what they need. And the work of GeoBlue Planet revolves around societal needs, as you can see on this little figure there. There are information needs that we need to characterize, and from there we're gonna try to produce data and observation to answer these needs. Then we'll make products such as digital oceans and so on. And from there, we'll work on decision support tools that will create and put forward the knowledge to go to some evidence-based decision made by our stakeholders. The Blue Planet initiative is the ocean and coastal arm of GEO. GEO is the Group for Earth Observation. We want to support the GEO engagement priorities, and these are shown at the bottom left of the diagram. The engagement priorities are the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals set by the UN, but also the Paris Agreement and the Sendai Agreement on disaster risk reduction. We want to strengthen our linkages and the linkages of scientists with stakeholders. We do develop knowledge hubs where you can find information on a specific topic, as well as mitigation information or policy briefs and so on. And we want to forge some, forge some decision support tools. So the group on Earth observation goes from these engagement priorities to a list of 10 societal benefit areas that we focus on. And as GeoBlue Planet, we take the lead in the ocean and coastal part of these societal benefit areas. And on our side, which is the blue side of the diagram, we have 10 overarching areas covering all the topics that are related to ocean and coastal areas. And from there, we have created so far 7 working groups. One on fisheries, on coastal flooding, on marine litter eutrophication, waterborne disease, sargassum, and oil spills. These 7 working groups are working groups of experts, and they are producing some core actions, such as information hubs, indicators development that are crucial for the SDG monitoring, best practices white papers, as well as stakeholder needs reporting, because we need to know what the stakeholders need to deliver the information that is relevant for them. And this correction feeds cross-cutting activities within the different thematic working groups that feed back to them. The European Office for GeoBlue Planet was created to answer an FPI project of the European Union, the EU for Ocean Ops. This project is implemented here at Mercator Océan International. And this project looks at the entire value chain of ocean observation, from collecting the data, transforming and then sharing the data, to the use of the data through service information and knowledge. And this very last part is the one that GeoBlue Planet focuses on, as well as the loop back through societal needs to ask and promote data that is actually in line with what society needs. As part of this program, we also have a G7 FSOI, Future of the Seas and Ocean Initiative, European office at Mercator. I'm going to be talking today a little bit more about the Marine Litter Working Group, because I think this is the main working group in line with the clean ocean subject that we're talking about today. So the working group was created in 2019, following a UN environment, a UNEP expert consultation on marine litter in Nairobi. The European office is now leading this working group, starting from January this year, and we have 11 members from 7 countries. So we're trying to keep that broad and very international point of view that Geo brings to the table. So what we did from there was to answer a request from UN Environment, UNEP, to review for marine litter monitoring and best practices. So we produced a white paper working with all of our members to work on to give information on marine litter monitoring and best practices in this monitoring. This draft, this white paper, is feeding the building up of the GPML digital platform. The GPML is the global partnership on marine litter that was put together by the UN Environment. This global platform for monitoring marine litter and information action builds on existing and developing monitoring technologies, and they push forward existing marine litter databases and major published data sets. They also be working with scientists developing SDG, so the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN indicators and other types of indicators that are crucial for following the evolution of the environment. The platform will look at monitoring the entire plastic value chain, so from the production of plastic to the recycling and reuse of plastic. And this is really important, to look at the entire value chain and not only when the plastic is already in the ocean. And it will build on existing and developing global platforms, and we are working on a pilot project on marine litter in a digital ecosystem for the environment. And this pilot project and the global platform is a partnership between the Global Partnership on Marine Litter and IBM, and GeoBlue Planet is one of the collaborators as well. We also, so this is working on the data itself, but we also built together 2 workshops on best practices, because we need scientists to come around the table and discuss together how do we produce this data and how do we use it in a homogeneous manner. Because when it comes to marine litter, we have citizen scientists, we have biologists, physicians, chemists, and they have different tools and different way of working. So we need to put them around the table. And that's why together with the Ocean Best Practices and the Oceanic Engineering Society of the IEEE, we hosted 2 workshops, one in 2019 on the technologies and observing and monitoring plastic, and then the second one in 2020 on the marine debris indicators. Then we had more recently, as in just yesterday, we had a side event to the All Atlantic 2021 conference to foster connection, action, cooperation between scientists and international, regional, and local stakeholders. We had 2 hours of conference. I can put in the chat there the link to the YouTube video of this very interesting meeting between 6 speakers and 6 panelists. We had over 100 attendees, and it was really interesting because we had around the table scientists, people using the information, and people from the UN who need this information to go further. And then to close up my presentation, the GeoBlue Planet does not work only on marine litter, but works on several different projects that are related to a healthy ocean, a clean ocean, that we are discussing today. So we have the oil spill working group, the sargassum, the waterborne disease working group, and the eutrophication working group. So thank you very much for your intention, and please ask any questions you want in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Audrey, for this very interesting talk. I mean, there are a lot of things going on right now. This week there has been a lot of events as well. And there is really a lot of activities in the full value chain, from ocean data up to ocean knowledge. And GeoBlue Planet is really a key link towards ocean knowledge and feeding the societal needs. So thank you very much, Audrey. I would like now to invite Francisco Campuzano. So Francisco is a numerical modeler at the CoLab Atlantic in Portugal. He's an oceanographer from at the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria in Spain. He has a PhD in environmental engineering from Instituto Superior Técnico in Portugal. And he also has a Master of Science in Estuarine and Coastal Management and Science at the University of Hull in the UK. He's been involved in more than 20 research projects at the European, national, and regional levels in different areas, such as assessing ecological status, socio-economics, as well as conceptual and numerical model. So Francisco is going to tell us about the Clean Atlantic project today. So Francisco, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me and for inviting me. I'm going to share my screen. So hopefully it works. I hope that you are seeing my screen. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about, as it has been said, about the Clean Atlantic project, and I will, when I was invited to this session, and I really appreciate, they were talking about what is the digital ocean for a clean ocean. So I thought that this project was the one that was fitting the best. So this is a project that is funded by the Interreg Atlantic area and is about to finish. We are on the last month officially. Maybe there will be a little bit of extension. But the general objective is to protect biodiversity and ecosystem services in the Atlantic area, especially related with marine litter. So this is the consortium, where we have technical partners and scientific partners, but we have also associated partners that are responsible for the implementation of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive in all the Atlantic area, and also we have the OSPAR Commission. So there are some activities that are important for this project, like capitalization, management, awareness raising, mapping knowledge and stakeholders. But here we will focus especially on monitoring and modeling of marine litter. So During this project, we developed a new tool that is called Moid Lagrangian. We already had Lagrangian tools before, but we decided to implement a new one that its performance is very high. So what is a Lagrangian model? Just to give you a brief idea, like we fill the ocean with particles that are like volumes of water that we can track. So we can assume that some of these particles that you are seeing on the screen, they are contained in marine litter. So then we can follow this mass of water in the coastal area and see where it's reaching the area of influence of every source, and also we can see where are the accumulation areas. So this new tool is open source, as all the models including the Moid suite, but we can include many type of sources, particle types. We can use already results from other models, and then we can produce outputs that are suited especially for policymakers and for other type of users, especially users that are more used to work with GIS software, and also we include other processes. So just to tell you a little bit what is our recipe, we have some inputs that are like the 2D or 3D circulation models. Then we include here waves and wind effects on the particles. So for this, sometimes we use the Copernicus Marine Service model, but also other user models. Then we have the circulation, waves and wind, and then we define what are the land and ocean sources of marine litter. So we have to describe what are the type of items, what are the amount of items that are reaching. And then when we characterize these sources of marine litter, we go to the particle types. That, as we know, marine litter is a very broad idea. So not only idea, but there are many types of particles. It can be things, it can be paper, it can be plastic, it can be floating, it can be with higher density. So when we have this, we run our model through scripts, and then we have in general like two types of results. One is like we can fill a particular area with particles. Here we can see all the Atlantic area, fill it with a uniform density of particles and how they move with the currents below and how they concentrate in particular areas. And also we can see here how do the reverse discharge influence different areas. So now we can fill the ocean and see and track the discharge from every source in the ocean and what is the affected area and the accumulation areas. So we have now a big number of particles, but this for policymakers is a bit complicated to manage and for many users. So then what we are doing is that trying to use some polygons to aggregate this information into maps that can be opened on GIS software. And here I'm showing you a couple of examples. Like we are here using the Marine Strategy Framework Directive marine reporting units that have been defined by every country. And then we can see the influence, for instance, from two rivers, one the Guadalquivir in southern Spain and the Seine in northern France. We can see which areas are being affected the most by the discharge of this river. We can see even here, like the Guadalquivir, even if it's located in the Atlantic area, its mouth is also affecting some Mediterranean areas. So this is the type of information that we are obtaining for regional or global ocean. But we can also reproduce this type of information for local areas. So other type of managers may be interested of what is happening in that particular area or in the estuary, where are the areas that the information is or the marine litter is accumulating the most. So this is an example of northern Spain in Galicia and one of the RIAs. So we can reproduce this same using like polygons, defining polygons along the coast. So, and then when we want to validate the result, this is a different estuary. This is located in Portugal. This is the Tagus estuary. We have identified some areas where the accumulation of particles is higher than average. So what we are doing now is also to monitor using novel methodologies like drones, and then we are going to to go and to cover relatively large areas in a cost-effective way, and try to see what is the distribution and the accumulation pattern in these areas and to validate the numerical models. So this is one of the beaches that we are monitoring, this Cova de Vapor, located here in the mouth of the Tagus estuary. And then this is an image captured by a drone. And then we are identifying, at the moment we are doing this manually, but we pretend to operationalize this activity. And we identifying the items that we locate in this area. We can see how it evolves with time. Also, we are going inland and capture with a camera to validate what we are seeing from the drone and to what we are observing on the field. So this is more or less what I wanted to tell you today. I hope you have any question or you need any extra information. Please don't hesitate to contact me.
Thank you very much, Francisco. This is indeed very impressive to see this video, and we really see for real how the digital ocean is key actually to monitor ocean pollution and marine litter pollution. So thank you for that. For the question, we will wait for the end of the webinar where we are. So you can all ask questions through the chat, and please make sure that you end your question by a question mark so that we make the difference between questions and comments. So thank you very much, Francisco. I would like now to invite Anne Valette. Anne is a project manager at Argance. She is with us today, but she recorded a presentation. So we are going to go through a video first, but Anne is with us today. So she will be able to answer your questions at the end of this meeting. So Anne has a master in geography, and she also has a PhD in GIS for Geographic Information System and Remote Sensing. She's been teaching during several years cartography, statistics, and GIS in engineering school and universities in France. She's now in the Argance group, and she's involved in various studies, including detection and cartography of very high-resolution satellite images, or for the wave modeling, for example. She's going to tell us about the LitterTEP project, which stands for Marine Litter Monitoring in the North West Shelf, and she's the LitterTEP project manager for the North West Shelf, but also for the Black Sea. So let's listen to Anne's video, and then you will be able to ask a question in the end.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to present you examples of ocean data used for the monitoring of floating debris. About 80% of marine litter are from land-based sources. If most of them sink, a large portion comes back to beaches, usually close to their sources, but sometimes far from them. The beach debris are vegetation material or anthropogenic waste. Beach litter is considered by beach users to be one of the 5 most important aspects regarding beach quality, and for the local authorities to find solutions to offer a high-level quality standard of touristic service. Some surveys indicate that 85% of people don't want to visit a beach with more than 2 litter items per meter. When a marine litter is introduced at sea, it can sink, become a microlitter, or return to the coast. In our project, we consider only the floating macrolitter and their becoming on beaches. To handle the unmanaged macrolitter life cycle, we need to detect the source in the land side or the presence at sea with data assimilation or detectors, and determine and monitor the drift. The crowdsourcing is not yet used by us. The drift of an object in the ocean is complex. Several parameters should be taken into account. For example, the buoyancy. If the object floats or is totally or partially submerged, the moving velocity is different in function of the wavelength and of the wave height. We can also introduce the object weight, the density of water, that vary according to temperature and salinity. If the object is at a sea surface or partially submerged, we need to add the action of the wine, and to go further, we can introduce the shape, local currents, etc. For the moment, in the LitterTap project, our models are basic, but we currently perform researches to introduce some parameters, like the shape and the buoyancy. The LitterTap platforms. We have two versions of service, one for the European Northwest Shelf Seas and one for the Black Sea. Configurations are similar. We introduce litter from rivers, then we have a model for the drift and the trending at coast. They are set up with data from the Copernicus Marine Service. Every day we download data, process them, generate maps, and store the results in the database. We have a web interface to display the result and to launch some requests. For the beaching with floating model, we are using, in addition, wave data. In the Black Sea, we have a function to introduce manually litter and to request the drift, but the function isn't available in forecast. The service setup for the Northwest Shelf Seas is based on a litter index valuation calibrated from 30 years of litter flow daily data and socioeconomics data. The current developments performed aim to have a near real-time river flow information from rainfall and temperature to obtain the strong events and a more accurate volume of litter. We are using hydrology schemes for the watersheds and hydrologic GeoStation data for the calibrations. Let me present the LitterTap platform for the Northwest Shelf Seas. The service currently runs with 37 rivers. Every hour, we introduce litter, the volume varying according to river and month. It provides daily density maps for the floating litter and the trending litter. The resolution is in square kilometer. Data are provided with a forecast of 5 days. The aim is to offer support to local authorities. The service offers a function to obtain the probable source of observed beach litter and when they were released. For that, we have to select the date of observation, the number of days since the last cleaning campaign, and the size of the selected area, radius in kilometers. Then we obtain a table, downloadable. For the LitterTap service in the Black Sea, we have 332 points to release 5,278 liters per day every 4 hours, with a function of scattering and a random function for the number, because for the small sources, the release is 1 item per day. The litter are drifted every hour and the results saved 1 time per day. Here you can see 13 days of results. With a click on a litter, we have a pop-up to inform on the source, date of release, and a function to obtain all its course until it's beaching or sinking. This service is dedicated to assist for the calibration and validation of the plastic detector for Sentinel-2 images. So we have a function that allows us to introduce by hand some litter observed by the detector and request their drift. If you want to have more information, please have a look on our website. If you have some question, we will be happy to answer to you. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anne. We will come back to you at the end of this meeting for a few questions. I mean, again, this is really a key tool, a key DigitalOcean tool in order to monitor litter pollution. So this, again, was a very good example for us today. So thank you very much, Anne. I'm happy now to introduce you to Sabine Roux de Bézieux. She's the president of Fondation de la Mer. She's a graduate at the ESSEC Business School. She's been in the following two years, after graduating at the ESSEC Business School, she's been an investment banker. She's also spent 13 years with the Anderson Group in London and Paris, and from 2002 to 2012, she has managed her own advisory firm, Advanceo, before joining the boards of directors of several listed companies and becoming the CEO of the Notus Technologies. So Sabine is going to tell us about our blue footprint today, and Sabine, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Laurence, and thank you to Mercator Ocean for organizing this fascinating conference this morning. Fondation de la Mer is a philanthropic organization which gathers hundreds of marine actors dedicated to better understand and protect the ocean. We work actively to educate and engage people on their impact on the ocean. We particularly focus on the youth, developing educational kits and programs for children aged 3 to 18. But today I'm here to talk to you about our second target, which is the corporate world, object of our conversations today. And thank you again for Mercator Ocean for providing me this opportunity to explain how companies can understand and measure their blue footprints. The current slides you all know about. The ocean is at the center of the three main challenges of our century: climate change, biodiversity, and circular economy. However, the corporate world at large is completely and totally ignorant of this reality. And obviously, this does not concern the maritime sector. Why is that so? The first reason is that most companies ignore they have an impact on the ocean. The second reason is that when companies are aware they have an impact on the ocean, they do not know how to measure this impact. And thirdly, when they look for measurement tools, most of them are not linked to the ocean. Today, 80% of companies use the SDGs for their CSR reporting. You know how the 17 SDGs operate, set up in 2015 by the United Nations. They cover all key aspects of human development for the coming years. There's a strong interdependence between all SDGs, and the chart you have on the right-hand side of this chart shows you which SDGs are most reported by companies on a worldwide basis. The smallest one and the least reported of all SDGs by companies worldwide is SDG 14. One reason for this is that the SDG 14 was not set up, or the SDGs in general were not designed for companies, but clearly at a nationwide level. So what we've done at Fondation de la Mer, together with a number of partners, including the Boston Consulting Group, with which we've worked for almost 2 years, is to develop a tool called the Ocean Framework that helps companies understand, evaluate, and monitor their impact on the ocean. They're very interested in using this tool because the CSR trend is really unstoppable today. You all know the regulations that are being discussed at the European level on non-financial reporting issues. You all know how investors are more and more asking companies to include, to take charge of the global warming, of reducing waste and engaging in the circular economy. And as this wave, if I may say so, is approaching, companies need to tackle and the questions investors are asking them. So this tool, the Ocean Framework, helps companies exactly achieve this. identify, assess, and monitor their impact on the ocean. It was, as I said, it was created over a quite long period, mixing over 100 of academic sources and looking at thousands of listed companies' CSR reports, and working with scientists, NGOs, institutions, and a panel of international companies and smaller companies to create a tool, which I will show you briefly, but everything is accessible online with on an open source basis. So I will not get it into too many details. But basically, the Ocean Framework looks at a very extensive level on all the impacts a company may have on the ocean. It proposes 44 different indicators related to every type of impact. These indicators themselves are related to existing referentials such as the GRI or science-based targets. They've been tested by companies, and one of the challenges companies have today is seizing this tool, identifying which of these indicators are relevant, material to their businesses, and acting to reduce their impact. This slide shows you the different benefits the referential has for companies. Reputation and engagement, obviously, working with employees, increasing pride for the employees. Working on the operations, identifying areas where the companies has impact on the ocean and working on reducing these impacts. Working on their investors, attracting new sources of financing, helping fill in the non-financial reporting obligations, and anticipating future regulations, obviously. And finally, innovate, develop bio-inspired products, and differentiate from competitors. As a second step, following the Ocean Framework, we have developed a label. It's called Ocean Approved. This is a premiere today because the label will be launched officially on Tuesday, June the 8th, obviously. But I'm happy to share this news with you today. So the label Ocean Approved has been developed with Bureau Veritas, worldwide certificator, to offer companies that want to go one step further and communicate on their engagement towards the ocean to be known and be recognized by institutions like Fondation La Mer and Bureau Veritas. Just to give you an idea of what we've been working on for the last 2 years, we've developed this the referential, the framework. It was launched on June the 8th last year. It's been over the last 12 months. It's been widely distributed around Europe. We've held a number of seminars. Cyrus Angera and Geneviève Ponce were kind enough to take part in a seminar in January, I think. We've been working with the global compact of the UN to make sure they're part of this initiative and recommend it. And more globally, we've been working with dozens of companies that are embarking and using the framework. The next step is launched, as I said, on Tuesday with the label. More importantly, what do we do with all this, and how can we all work together? So Fondation La Mer, we work with companies, helping them use the Ocean Framework and engage in a labelization process if they wish so. We also actively work to ensure these tools remain relevant in the future. And there are a number of issues, most surely all of you are aware of. The first one is the question of thresholds, and that's something we are thinking about with Mercator Ocean. And that's what most companies are asking us about. Every of these indicators provides a value, and the question is what would be the best value to reduce the impact on the ocean? Today, what companies are telling us is that they are respecting the legal environment of each country they operate in. But is that enough? Should there be a global indicator or threshold that companies should aim for? How do we devise these indicators? So that's a main issue for all of us for the coming years. The second area we're working on is to ensure that our tools are compatible with the current legal environment, which is obviously the case, but also upcoming regulations. Today, we've ensured that the framework and the label are in line with the European taxonomy, and we are closely monitoring the development of the CSRD to ensure, again, the compatibility of our tools with the upcoming regulation. The third dimension is related to the expectations of investors, rating agencies that are including more and more ISR indicators in their evaluations. And we want to make sure that the companies that are using and will be using the referential will integrate, will meet these expectations. Final point, and Geneviève Pons mentioned that earlier this morning, relates to the emerging areas of science: noise, light, heat, impact, and everything we don't know about the ocean, and there is a lot we don't know about the ocean. We want to integrate that progressively in our tools. So thank you very much. Thanks for Mercator Ocean, and looking forward to responding to your questions either here or later on.
Thank you very much, Sabine. This is indeed very interesting, this idea of a label for companies. So I'm expecting that a lot of companies are going to work, and Mercator Ocean International is surely going to try to get this label indeed and to be ocean approved. Thank you very much, Sabine. So I'm now inviting all the speakers to a question and answer session. So I'm going to first start with a question to our first speaker, Jacques Delsal. So Jacques, how is the Marine Strategy Framework Directive? How is it going to evolve in the future? A better clean ocean.
Yes, sorry.
Did you hear the question, or shall I?
Yes, I heard the question.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Without the headset, it's better. Yes, so we indeed the concept of the review of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive was already embedded into the legislation, because there is the Article 23 that foresee that the directive will be reviewed by 2023, actually. And so we started this work, I mean, where we are performing an evaluation together with an impact assessment of for different options for reviewing the directive. We just had published a couple of months ago what we call the Inception Impact Assessment. So it's already showing in the Transparency Register that the work we will undertake. And now we are full steam in this evaluation and the first step of the impact assessment. There will be a stakeholder conference this autumn. Hopefully, I hope it can be still the lively and public stakeholder conference we had before, and if not, we will continue doing it now that we are all fully digital. And the idea is to look at the issues that were highlighted in the implementation report, and some of them I've been referring before. So trying to improve decrease the administrative burden that is linked to the directive, and be able to provide a better information to decision maker, and improve the knowledge base, so increase the frequency of the reporting, focus maybe more on the pressure, and ensure that we have this information available in a better way. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacques. We now have another question from Alexandra Netz, who is asking, will the digital ocean twin also provide tools to optimize and reach a balance between use and protection? And by use, she means food security, blue economy, and protection. Is there any one of you who is willing to answer this question? This is a very good question, actually. I mean, Digital Twin Ocean is an objective of the DigiConnect in 2027. So we are not there yet. This is something we need to achieve until 2027. So there are many things to be defined about the Digital Twin Ocean, and indeed, your question needs to be addressed. We don't have the answer yet to this question, Alexandra. So now let me check. I had a question for you. I saw a question for you, Geneviève, in the chat. So here it is from Cecilia. So she is asking, you've been talking a bit about it, but could you please tell us more about how Mission Starfish 2030 is going to involve all the European citizens?
Thank you very much, Laurence. Okay, first of all, I would like to say that we have had citizen consultation all over Europe, and the last one in France, which have shown that citizens are very sensitive to the state of their ocean and waters, and especially struck by pollutions, starting with plastic pollution. That the first lesson from this citizen consultation, not surprising at all, of course. But the second one is much more interesting. They want to be part of the solution. They want to act. And what we foresee is that we will develop applications that will allow citizens to gather science, to gather data, and to contribute to the setting of the digital science, and that will feed the digital twin of the ocean. So we want the citizens to be part of it, to be able to use the data provided by the digital twin, and also to feed the digital twin through the most possible performing applications that have been developed, of course.
Thank you very much, Geneviève. So now a question to Audrey. So you're mentioning a digital platform which is being developed together with IBM. So how this digital platform is going to be able to feed the digital ocean?
So that's really interesting, because we hear, digital platform, digital ocean, and it's really important to understand that they are not the same thing and they're not competing. The digital platform will be a platform for data, but also for information. So the GPML, the Global Partnership for Marine Litter, created by UNEP, the UN Environment Programme, is aiming at scientists, but also citizen science, people from the public, but also policymakers and so on. And this partnership with IBM, the idea is that because the observation that we make of plastic is so different from someone, a citizen science from the beach, or a scientist, a biologist, a chemist, these observations are so different. It's really hard to have them comparable and interoperable. So that's basically the job of IBM there, is to have all this information compatible. Because as I was saying, some scientists will measure the polymer, some scientists will measure the size, the weight. Usually citizen science measure the number of pieces and so on, and we need all this data to be comparable. And that's why we have that one part of the platform with IBM, is to use artificial intelligence to help us have this great data set being usable. And then, sorry, to answer your question, and then once we have all these data sets usable, we can put them in the digital ocean to feed the information, because in the global digital platform, there will be no hydrodynamical modeling, where the digital ocean does have this.
Okay. Thank you very much, Audrey. So now we have a question to Sabine. It's maybe going to be the last question, because we are almost at the end of this webinar. So Sabine, are you planning to have a scoring system to be regularly updated of public companies in terms of CSR to help investors to select most responsible companies?
As I wrote on the chat box, this is an excellent question, which has been asked regularly over the last 2 years by all the investors we're talking to. The ocean is a very complex environment, and the aim of our tools is mainly to get companies to act quickly and act with impact. If we oversimplify the questions, we will, in our mind, not help the ocean and not help companies to move forward. That's why we have set up the label with, at this stage, so I'm telling you a bit more about the label. It will have two steps. The first level of companies that will be engaged in reducing their impact on the ocean on all dimensions, and the second level for companies which will be considered as advanced in their operations. We will be working on a third step that will be sector specific in a couple of years, when the label is sufficiently developed and implemented. We have not completely turned down the idea of scoring companies, but again, this was not and still is not the main objective of this whole process of Ocean Framework and Ocean Approved label. But I'd be very interested in continuing the conversation with whoever is interested.
Thank you, Sabine. I'm sorry, we need to stop here. This has been a very nice morning. I would like to thank, on behalf of Mercator Ocean International, I would really like to thank all our speakers today. This has been a great examples of how we are going to really take care of the ocean in the next coming years, and how we've already taken care of it, actually. We really wanted to make it clear that ocean data and the digital ocean is really a cornerstone to achieve a blue-green deal and achieving zero pollution. And I think you've all made that clear today. So thank you to all our speakers. I would like to tell you that we've been about 150 participating to listening to this event today. So thank you to the audience and to all the people attending. I would like to tell you also that you are all going to receive a thank you email today, where you are going to be able to provide us with feedback. And next week, you are going to receive another email where we are going to share all the slides, all the video recording, and there will be also a more comprehensive feedback survey included in this email, so that you can ask any further question or tell us about your feeling about this event. So thank you to all the speakers, thank you to all the participants, and thank you to DG Environment and to the EU Green Week for giving us this opportunity to organize this event. Thank you also to all my colleagues at Mercator Ocean International for organizing this event, and to Euro Agency, who's been helping us to organize this event as well. So thank you, have a good day, have a good weekend, and we hope to see you next year for next year EU Green Week. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.